TomoNews presents Health Problems Caused by Cell Phones.
Pregnant mom burned by her iPhone 7. A pregnant woman in Australia posted a shocking image on Facebook showing the second-degree burns she sustained after falling asleep with her charging iPhone 7. 34-year-old Sydney resident Melanie Tan Pelaez was watching movies on her iPhone 7 while it was charging on Tuesday night, and she then fell asleep. When she woke up the next morning, she felt a pain, like pins and needles running down her arm. Then she realized she had the shape of the phone and charger burned into her arm. Pelaez visited medical professionals who quickly agreed that the burn markings matched the phone and the charger. Pelaez took the phone to an Apple store, and despite the pretty clear evidence, Apple staff reportedly said it couldn't be the phone as it's designed to shut off if it overheats. And bizarrely, they said the phone didn't smell like an overheated iPhone. So, Pelaez shared her awful experience on Facebook in the hopes this won't happen to anyone else. Pelaez told local media that Apple did try to give her a new iPhone 7, but she declined to accept the replacement as she's lost faith in the brand. Following media reports on Pelaez's story, Apple now says it is working with her to investigate the incident.
12-year-old with text neck has the spine of a 50-year-old woman. An unidentified 9-year-old boy, let's call him Johnny, shall we, was rushed to hospital by his mother because the child was unable to bend his neck or turn his head. The previous day, Johnny had spent 4 hours playing games on his mother's iPad. The doctor x-rayed the 9-year-old's neck and was shocked to see that the ligaments in the boy's neck were beginning to show early signs of calcification. This is just one case among many. Last month, doctors examined a 12-year-old girl and discovered that the curve of her spine and the spinal column resembled that of a 50-year-old woman. The girl also spent long periods of time on her iPad, either reading or playing games, and it had caused her spine to straighten. This is because of the pressure put on the neck and spine when the head is in a lowered position. The posture and condition has been coined text neck and can lead to wear and tear on the spine, spinal degeneration, and surgery. It is a condition that is incredibly often found in children. Doctors explain that children are particularly susceptible to text neck since their bones and ligaments are more supple because they are still growing. Parents need to be more vigilant about the amount of time their children spend in the text neck posture. Not that anyone is blaming technology, just remember that you can look at a smartphone with your head up. So, chin up.
Samsung just can't catch a break. Remember how Samsung had to replace all their Note 7s after the phone just couldn't shake its habit of self-immolation? Well, now it seems that at least one of those replacements has another bad habit: smoking. According to reports, passenger Brian Green was turning off his Note 7 on board a Wednesday morning Southwest Airlines flight from Louisville to Baltimore. All was well until his phone started heating up and puffing smoke. The Note 7 reportedly got so toasty that it burned a hole in the plane's carpet. After becoming aware of the situation, the crew evacuated 75 passengers from the plane. Reuters reached out to Green's wife, who said the phone was a replacement he got 2 weeks ago. Meanwhile, technology news website The Verge spoke to Green and did some digging on the phone's IMEI number and packaging. They found it to be a replacement device, unaffected by Samsung's recall. Samsung said they're working with authorities to determine the cause of the smoke and will comment further after they've examined the phone. Thankfully, this phone started smoking before takeoff, but just imagine if it all went down at 40,000 feet. Scary, right?
Cell phone addicts may exert up to 60 pounds of force on their spines. A recent study has found a surprising amount of force people place on their cervical spine when they tilt their heads to look at their smartphone devices. The head exerts 10 to 12 pounds of force on the spine, even when the neck is positioned in a neutral upright position. When the neck is craned to 30 degrees, the force placed on the spine increases to 40 pounds, the equivalent of 3 bowling balls. Craned at 60 degrees, the spine is experiencing 60 pounds of force, which is roughly the weight of 4 bowling balls or an 8-year-old child. Smartphone users may be continually stressing their spine unless they train themselves to bring their phones up to eye level. It's estimated that Americans are spending about an hour on their phones daily. The pressures exerted on the spine may lead to early wear and degeneration of the spine.
California warns about potential risk from cell phone usage. Your phone is giving you brain cancer. Actually, it probably isn't, but it may be. The California Department of Public Health released guidelines on how to reduce exposure to radio frequency energy released by cell phones, despite the lack of hard evidence that exposure poses any health risks. Some studies have suggested that long-term use of smartphones could be linked to brain or salivary gland cancer, low sperm count, and headaches. The guidelines suggest avoiding holding your phone to your head when talking on it. Send texts instead of talking. Avoid carrying your phone in your pocket, bra, or belt holster. Carry it in a bag or a backpack. They also suggested avoiding using your phone while it's sending high levels of radio frequency energy, such as when you're driving, streaming content, or when your signal is weak.
Doctors say text neck may also make kids shorter. Researchers from Taiwan's NTU Hospital are now suggesting there is a connection between the amount of time growing children and teenagers use their smartphones and their height. Taiwan ranks as one of the top countries in the world when it comes to how much time citizens spend on their smartphones, approximately 200 minutes per day, which is more than 3 hours a day if you were wondering. Text neck is a condition in posture that can lead to wear and tear on the spine, spinal degeneration, and surgery. The condition is caused by the posture most people adopt when looking down at their smartphones or tablets. This increases the pressure put on the neck and spine. Researchers are saying that children who spend 3 hours or more in the text neck position risk losing at least 2 to 3 inches in height. Doctors suggest that parents remind growing children to stretch and stand up straight. Regular exercise also helps relieve tension and pressure on the neck and spine. A weekly massage to help relax neck muscles also reduces pressure.
Smartphones definitely cause cancer. Maybe not. If you're watching on your phone, it's giving you mad cancer. Oh, it might be or it might not. 2 new studies have found a correlation between cell phone radiation and cancer in lab rats. Researchers from the U.S. National Toxicology Program tested 3,000 rats and mice of both sexes for 2 years, while European scientists at the Ramazzini Institute in Italy studied 2,500 rats from fetal stage to death. Smartphones emit non-ionizing radiation measured in radio frequency energy. Cell phones and wireless devices emit RF radiation continually, with dose intensity varying with distance from the body. The studies found that prolonged exposure to even low levels of RF radiation cause male rats to develop rare heart tumors called schwannoma, which affects a neuron called a Schwann cell. In the Ramazzini study, researchers also found a weaker link between RF exposure and glial cell cancer in the brain of female rats. So is your phone giving you cancer? Probably not as much as your diet.
Google investigating display issues with its new $800 phone. Internet giant and YouTube owner Google may need to place its latest smartphone in a limited state. Apologies, that's a demonetization joke. Android Central editor Alex Doby reported how a test Google Pixel 2 XL he was sent suffered from screen burn-in after 7 days of use. This is when graphics burn into the display. It usually happens after several years of use, not 1 week. Others have reported similar issues with the device. Technology giant Google is investigating the problem, but a mobile analyst told Reuters that if the company finds a problem with the device, it may need to halt production. But hey, maybe it's not the phone. Maybe it's the YouTube algorithm gone rogue and instead of demonetizing creators, it's demonetizing Google. One $800 phone at a time. Probably not, but their share price did drop by 1.9% on Monday.
Addicted to smartphone? You may need a head sling. These young patients are getting their posture corrected simply because they spend too much time with their heads down while using smartphones and tablets. Doctors have found that more and more young gadgets addicts appear to have neck and shoulder pain, and in the worst cases, it causes a slipped disc or bulging vertebrae. Winter sees around a 30% increase in patients needing cervical traction. Among them are many smartphone addicts. They admitted using smartphones for hours every day after work.
要带回到家会玩多久的时间？
回到家起码也会有个4-5个小时以上。
有的时候其实等公车啊，或者是你回到家，然后在床铺上，然后你要睡觉的时候，你都会在用。回到家之后，大概我觉得2-3个小时应该跑不掉。
Doctors point out that phone addiction can easily result in shoulder tightness and cause muscle stiffness in the winter. when blood circulation is relatively slower, which may lead to more serious neck and shoulder pain. In the worst cases, a phone addict's intervertebral disc may bulge and pressure the spinal nerves, meaning they will need to have their heads put in a sling or cervical traction.
颈椎中间神经出来的话，经过原本应该有这样的空隙，它跑出来，它太紧的挤压，那我们神经有个粗细压下来，压到它了。只要压迫到神经，就会有症状。透过这样的牵引，都可以稍微让这个空间比较增加，去减少它压迫到神经的症状。
Physiotherapists also suggest people with shoulder pain and numbness of hands go to see their doctor as soon as possible. Bulging discs that pressure nerves long-term may damage the nerves and cause arm muscles to atrophy, affecting the ability to raise the arms.
The National Consumer Affairs Center of Japan issued a warning on Thursday about overheating smartphones. There were nearly 100 reports of smartphone-caused burn injuries in Japan between April 2009 and December 2013. And 1,032 reports of smartphones overheating during the same period, the centre said. Among the reported incidents, a Saitama man in his 50s who went to bed after leaving his smartphone charging in a personal computer said he awoke to a burning smell and found the charging terminal melted and a nearby mat burned. An Osaka woman in her 20s suffered a low-temperature burn to the cheek after using an overheating smartphone for around 8 minutes. The centre said its experiments indicated that when using game apps and watching videos, the temperature around the upper part of a smartphone can rise to 54 degrees Celsius, with temperatures reaching up to 58 degrees on the back side of the phone. The centre asked the Telecommunications Carriers Association to do more to make consumers aware of the risks and to tackle the overheating issue, as well as introducing a screen shutdown mechanism for when smartphones overheat.